Hey everyone, this is Kit Cabela with Hard Lens Media. In the past here in Chicago, we have interviewed a lot of activists and community organizers that have been stepping up and fighting for a better future. As we all know, Chicago has its history of corruption and inept leadership, and sadly, we have a city that, for the most part, wants to suppress independent voices and independent people that want to bring in much needed change. And returning to a show, a good friend of our show, actually, who we've interviewed in the early days when we were on radio, none other than one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, Women of Faith, Littrice. LaShawn, for our viewers and subscribers, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization? Okay, we are having some technical difficulties.
Can you see me now?
Yes, I can. But
okay.
Your camera is frozen, unfortunately.
Hold on, let me see what's going on. Can you hear me, Kit?
Yes, we can. But okay, now everything's fine. There we go.
Sorry about that.
All right. So, for our viewers and subscribers, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I am Dr. LaShawn Littrice. I am born and raised in the city of Chicago. I now live in the south suburbs. My family still lives in Inglewood. I grew up in Inglewood. I am the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Women of Faith, and the co-founder of Protect the Frontline. And I also am a regional director for an organization called the National Congress on Faith and Social Justice, which now has just become the International Congress on Faith and Social Justice. I've been in activism a little over 7 years. I have a family. I have had some very traumatic things happen in my family, which resulted in me seeking to learn how to become involved in social justice. And I want to say right around a little bit after Trayvon Martin, but right around the time Laquan McDonald was murdered, is when I became very interested in projecting myself out to the front line and also introducing my children to the world of social justice.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's also important for us to really address some of the current issues that are happening here in Chicago. I mean, here's the thing. We all know the George Floyd murder has been a huge traumatic event, and we've all seen the video. It's horrifying to see what exactly happened to this man who was a father and obviously a community leader in his own way, and sadly he was murdered. But we see the same kind of stuff happen time and time again, where we're seeing police brutality and corruption happening. So I think a lot of people want to know what's actually happening here in Chicago. What is really being done to basically hold the Chicago Police Department accountable for its actions? Because they're not saints. We've seen this happen here in the city of Chicago, where innocent men have been accused for crimes that they did not commit. Or we're seeing brutality happen to communities of color on the south and west side neighborhoods of Chicago. So what's really being done to really bring in accountability that's long overdue?
So there is an enormous amount of activism in the manner of protest, where now people are protesting who probably have never entered into that arena before, but because they are sick and tired of the same status quo, what has normally been accepted and going on, it's kind of been determined that people are fed up. So I think we've reached a tipping point. So there are protests going all over everywhere. There's a call to end qualified immunity. There's a call to defund the police. There's a call to abolish the police. There is a call for officers to be accountable across the board for their actions. And many of us know that in the past, police officers could do certain things and get away with it because their officers, their fellow officers, would actually cover up for them. And so I think now we've reached a point where people are just not willing to accept that anymore. And so we're looking to hold the mayor accountable. We're looking to hold the people, the police chief accountable, the people that govern those offices, and also to look at the legislative laws that are connected to the police officers.
Now, of course, during these past weeks, I've seen you cover a few protests. We've actually been covering a few here and there as well, especially most notably the largest protest I ever saw at the Cook County Corrections Facility over there on California Avenue, where you're seeing thousands of people calling for the funding of the Cook County Corrections Department, as well as making sure that the prisoners there are actually being treated, because again, there's still the ongoing threat of COVID-19. So my question is, in regards to this, we're seeing these massive protests happen in front of Cook County. We're seeing these massive protests happen in front of police departments here in the city of Chicago. What is being done to really make the city be aware of what's happening right now? Gunnar, did we lose that signal?
She is still here. I'm just not.
Okay. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. There we go.
Oh, she is also reconnecting. Just bear with us here.
Bear with us, folks.
Cool.
We did lose your signal.
Yes,
Yes.
and sorry about that. Actually, my PC just started updating.
Okay.
Go figure.
All right. Well, that okay. Were you able to at least hear my question for the first?
Yes,
first few minutes? All right.
absolutely.
So, go ahead. Take it away.
So we were basically just talking about how what has happened since. What are people doing? People have become extremely interested in seeking justice and accountability in the nature of they have to do what they're doing as far as going out on the front lines protesting, but also rallying, getting people to pay attention to the legislative laws that are put on the books that actually don't help us. So there's a call to end qualified immunity. There's a call to defund the police, and there's a call to abolish the police. But mainly what we're looking at now is people are looking to hold political officials accountable that govern those entities, like the police chief or the police board and things like that. So I am really excited at the time we're in. We've reached a tipping point majorly where people are just fed up. And when people get sick and tired, they take action. And right now, I could never be more prouder than my fellow brothers and sisters right now.
So when you hear someone like Mayor Lightfoot, for example, who for the most part is refusing to support the defund police movement and is in fact calling to increase the Chicago Police Department's budget, essentially, what are some of the long-term consequences for Mayor Lightfoot's mayoral administration, and is she possibly a one-term mayor?
Right now, I feel like some people are not very happy with what's taking place. There are a number of things that have happened in a row. Unfortunately, many of them have happened on her watch by her being a newer mayor. I know she just reached 1 year of her term. But many people are very dissatisfied with what they call accountability and also where they feel like she has the power to make changes. So I do really feel like it's leaning towards the side of her being a one-term mayor, because she has not reached the point of approval, especially coming out of a pandemic. Not that she's done a bad job with the pandemic, but it's just all these other underlying factors that have taken place, and it's kind of like overlapped. And unfortunately, I don't see how she can gain ground back and gain the trust of the people. Right now, it looks like people lack a lot of trust in her. And I do believe she has done the best in certain areas, but in other areas, I think there could have been changes.
And so when it comes down to Mayor Lightfoot, especially as she ran on reform, do you think this will cause an increase of voter turnout? Because I know that back when we were covering the municipal election cycle, we saw you and numerous other activists on the ground supporting other candidates that were running for aldermanic seats or any other seats right now here in the city of Chicago. Do you think there will be an increase of voter turnout after how Mayor Lightfoot has handled this entire crisis?
Yes, I think that the voter turnout is going to increase based on how things were handled during the pandemic. I think that there's going to be even more of an increase based on the younger population, the new voters, having an opportunity to voice their concerns and actually shout for change
And I believe that what they see that is not right, they're going to attribute to happening on her watch. So I think it's going to increase majorly. I mean, I've been out on the streets since a lot of this stuff has been happening, and people are really looking forward to vote to change what's happening right now. And they believe a lot of the decisions that are being made are being made under the watch of those in political authority.
Now, there's another thing I want to ask specifically about your organization, Black Lives Matter Women of Faith, because as we have seen here in the city of Chicago, environmental racism is a reality. We're seeing a lot of communities, especially on the south and west side, that are dealing with a lot of environmental pollution. So what is your organization doing to really combat climate violence against minorities here in the city of Chicago?
What we've been looking to do is partner with other organizations who are fighting for the climate violence and the things that are happening systemically that is going to affect us as a race environmentally. We don't really realize how important this is until we latch on to some of the things that are affected by it. And so what we're looking to do is promote, to get a campaign going where we can promote in the neighborhoods, the communities, to educate people on what actually the climate violence is and how it's impacting us as people in the community.
Mm-hmm. And then as one additional question too, in regards towards continuing to address gentrification, because sadly we're seeing this still happen on the south and west side neighborhoods in Chicago. Gentrification is a very real issue that's basically displacing a lot of people who've been in Chicago for generations, families who've been living here for so long. The city council, for the most part, is still turning a blind eye to gentrification and how communities are being displaced. So what is your organization doing to bring awareness to this ongoing situation that, for the most part, I think is being covered up due to the fact that we are dealing with COVID-19, this economic depression, the George Floyd protests? What is your organization doing to bring awareness towards gentrification?
So what we're doing now is we're planning now on what our next moves are, because there's kind of 5 or 6 different things going on simultaneously. And because of the importance of all of them, we're trying not to neglect anything. However, when it comes to gentrification, it is so obvious what's happening. And like you said, that nothing is being done because there are not people standing up for it, because they want our focus to be geared towards certain things. And I understand how important the COVID-19 virus is, but there are so many other underlying issues that connect and that cause us to deal with issues like gentrification. So what we're trying to do is form a collaborative arm where we can work hand in hand with other organizations, so that what ends up happening is not one area gets neglected, but we can all cover them if we all kind of join together and unite on them.
And that's a fantastic note to bring awareness towards, because the thing is, as we continue to push forward, the next municipal election will be in 3 years, so that's 2023. And I think now more than ever, Chicago needs to build a better future. So because you've been on our show so many times, and because many of our viewers and subscribers, this is our first time actually seeing you, because this is our new live stream show, our actually formerly new live stream show, because we'll be changing things up. If they want to learn more about Black Lives Matter Women of Faith, where can they go online and on social media?
So they can go and check us out on social media. We have a group on Facebook, Black Lives Matter Women of Faith. Then we have another group, Black Lives Matter Women and Men of Faith. And then there's the actual fan page where we post all the events and things like that on as well. And then they could look to us individually. Carolyn J. Ruff, she has a couple of pages that she posts regular actions on. And then my page is, I have LaShawn Littrice, LaShawn Yvonne Littrice, and then I have Dr. LaShawn Littrice. On both of those pages, we tend to talk about issues that we are addressing, and we also invite people to join us as well. So if they tag one of us or they look on our pages, they can message us through Facebook, and they can also contact Carolyn J. Ruff, and they'll receive information. So we welcome people to join us.
All right, that's a fantastic note to end it on. Thank you so much for joining our show. As we kind of wrap things up, you're like the second to last guest that will be on our show, and it's been a real pleasure to actually have you back on. You've been with us since we were on radio and on television, and it's so good to see you again. So please be safe out there and take good care of yourself. And with that being said, I'm Kit Cabello, the host of Hard Lens Media. Peace to you guys, and let us all do what we can to build a better future.
Thank you so much.
uh,